Welcome to Midwest Horror Network's October 2020 special, where we watch and discuss all of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes. Today we are doing Treehouse of Horror 13. I'm Brandon, and with me are my clones, Mark, Zach, and David.
Good God.
No, we're not clones of you.
Dude, if I was Brandon's clone, I would definitely tell Homer that I remember the way back home.
Oh. This was not a bad episode overall, but kind of uneven. I think there's one segment that definitely rises above the other two, which helps out the overall quality of the episode, but we'll get into that later. Very short and to the point intro still. The Simpson family is holding a seance for Ned Flanders that he can talk to his deceased wife, Maude. They do the seance, and Bart appears pretending to be Maude, and everybody's scared. And he's like, "Don't worry, it's just me, Bart," as he takes off his Maude costume. But it turns out Maude's ghost is actually behind him, and she's acting all, ghost-like.
I'm sorry, what was that again, Brandon?
Ghost-like.
Got it.
Why did you make him do that twice?
Because I can.
Wait, what was that again?
Ghost-like. She asks the family if they're ready for 3 terrifying stories, and Lisa's is like, well, duh. And then Ghost Maude turns all evil and demonic and takes out a book that reveals the title, Treehouse of Horror 13, which takes us into our first story, Send in the Clones. Mark.
Oh, I wonder what this is going to be about.
Tell us about Send in the Clones.
So I guess some type of trader or some type of salesperson shows up to the Simpsons' house.
The hammock dealer.
Hammock Man.
And Hammock Man. The not quite as good as inflatable arm flailing tube man, but I digress.
Again, this can't be the Family Guy.
Apparently it can, though, because there's a joke in this episode. Homer goes and buys it, even though he is warned about the fact that it is a magical hammock. And
it gives great comfort and great evil. You have me a comfort.
And then show up and take my money. So Homer goes ahead and lays in it, and then figures out, oh my God, it can actually clone me. So he ends up having multiple clones, which is a direct ripoff from the lesser-known Michael Keaton movie, Duplicity.
Multiplicity.
Multiplicity, sorry. So they had multiple clones of Homer running around, because God only knows how this could turn out. They begin.
Not only were they clones, but they were dumber clones.
Yes.
Because, let's make Homer dumber than what he already is.
Which is scary.
Yeah, that is scary.
Yeah, especially an army of them. Holy fuck.
So they begin to start to clone and do chores around the house. Homer, of course, kills his first clone by accident, but then he clones more and more, and then they end up doing more chores, making him look awesome. He does a lot of cool shit around the house. He takes the kids out, him being the clones, and then Homer's off doing whatever the hell he wants to do. Which leads to some pretty funny jokes, does Dad seem dumber than he normally does? And he's beating up the car with a baseball bat, which is pretty great. He does a lot of great things for Marge. He ends up visiting Grandpa Simpson, and then Grandpa Simpson goes on and on and on, because Grandpa Simpson is always a win. And he ends up going shopping with Marge, and the real Homer cuts in right before Marge is going to go upstairs and fuck one of the clones. And Homer's like, I'm going to step in right now. And then the things start to get a little bit more out of control, because at one point one of the clones murders Flanders and then holds up the head against the window.
The writers like to decapitate Ned.
They do. They really do. I guess it's because it's funny. And Homer really hates Ned. So anyway, Homer puts them all into a giant cattle truck and then brings them out to do the episode's funniest joke, which is Homer gets to the back and says, raise your hand if you remember the way to go home, and then he proceeds to shoot anyone that raises their hands, even though after doing it several times. So he finally that joke ends. He releases all of the Homers, and then he has the hammock with him, and he says, "No one shall ever, be harmed by this hammock again." He throws it out the window and then drives away. Again, what could go wrong? So a bunch of the Homer clones find it, and then they proceed to clone themselves, which then proceeds to a horde of Homers, which is kind of a zombie kind of feel to it, which is a lot of fun. They do a lot of different gags. They eat corn. They eat a farmer, like a set of piranhas. They go to the Duff factory, get a bunch of beer, and then quickly all run together in unison to the bathroom, which is pretty great.
I think they just pissed in the back of a factory.
Yeah.
The brewery.
Yep, the brewery.
Or in the beer itself. Who knows?
Sure. And then also, one joke I did forget, though, is they're doing a pan scan of all of the different Homers, and then you do see Peter Griffin in the midst of all the Homer clones.
That's insulting to
They
me.
did have the original, animation
and they did
Homer.
have the original animation
The late
from-
80s from the Tracy Ullman shorts.
Which is pretty cool. And then eventually the army gets involved, and then gets Homer to be thrown into the Grand Canyon, I'm assuming. And then that's the end of all of the Homers. And then Marge is in bed with whom she assumes is the original Homer, but spoiler alert and plot twist, turns out it is one of the clone Homers. And she's like, "Oh, that's shocking," until a clone Homer's like, "I'll give you a back rub." And then Marge is just cool with it.
The clone did point out that Homer was the first one to go off the cliff from
Yeah.
chasing the giant donuts.
Ironically, the clones actually were smarter than him.
Well, at least one of them was.
In
Yeah,
the
one
end.
of them.
In the end. And then they play that song, if you can't love the one out there, love the one you're with. So, and that's pretty good advice in this particular scenario.
You can't be with the one you love. Love the one you're with.
Yes, thank you. It's a pretty good song. But that being said, that was that episode. It was fun.
It was a really fun one.
It was definitely fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started off with a simple premise, and then it just goes full-on chaos, but the chaos felt warranted because it's just a ridiculous situation to begin with, and they embrace the ridiculousness.
Yep. And a couple really, really good gags,
Oh, yeah.
including a guest appearance by Mr. Peter Griffin.
That
Any
was
other-
the era with these animations where they just wanted to kind of get some jabs in with each other.
Of course.
Because South Park started doing that too, and they had one episode with the animation land where they had, I think it was the second part, where they had Bart Simpson there, and then they also had Peter Griffin as well.
So,
And the King of the Hill studio. That was
Yeah.
quite a few years after this episode aired, though.
True, but I mean, between that and these other shows are starting to get some jabs in there
Absolutely.
with each other.
Absolutely. So, and this is actually showcasing one of Simpsons' best things. Family Guy's trademark is the flashbacks, and Simpsons' trademark is the background gags.
Yeah.
And this is a great showcase of the background gag, which I read. That's probably where I laugh the hardest in Simpsons is the background gags,
Yeah.
which is, I imagine, is pretty common among most Simpsons fans. But yeah, it was a pretty good episode. It was fun.
Yeah, I really liked this one. Any other thoughts on Sin of the Clones before we move on?
It was pretty dark. It was a dark episode with kind of luring the Homers off the cliff with the big donuts.
Hey,
That's pretty fucked up.
if it works, it works.
It's I think it was at towards the end when they're in bed, or where she's in bed with the clone, and I think police or Chief Wiggum calls informed us that the Homers are almost dead. So there's some of them kind of twitching.
They'll be taken care of by the morning.
It'll be good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's good shit.
All right, next up, we have, and I want to make sure I get the title right here, The Fright to Creep and Scare Harms.
So, Lisa and Bart are at a cemetery. They're burying, what was it, a goldfish?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're burying their pet goldfish. And Lisa stumbles upon a grave of some dead dude. And on his gravestone, she discovers it said, "I wish the world had no guns," or something like that. So Lisa throws a whole campaign. Everyone gives up their guns. And just like the episode where the aliens invade, this is clearly a dumbass idea.
This is the second
Clearly,
time that
yeah.
Lisa has done this.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I have a question though for
Yeah.
Brandon, because you're more of a Simpsons fan. Has she done this in other episodes that are not Treehouse of Horrors? where she has forcibly made a guns ban or something to that nature, and it's totally backfired on her.
Specifically a guns ban, I don't believe so.
Okay, because it seems oddly specific that would come up twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are completely different writers than what we had in season 3.
Fair enough. I was just curious.
Well, either way, it's essentially the exact same premise as that episode. Only difference is instead of aliens invading and taking over the world, it's just a few zombie cowboys come and take over the entire town of Springfield.
And one German oligarch.
Yeah.
Which was random, but whatever. Then the science guy, whatever the hell his name is, creates a time machine, pulls Homer to the side. I have a time machine. We could go back in time and fix this problem. Homer takes it, goes back, fixes the problem, tells everybody to essentially double tap the zombies. They rise from the graves, get shot out of the town. Then a future Homer Simpson comes back for this one, says, guns are going to destroy the world. You need to get rid of them. And then Mo proceeds to shoot that Homer in the face and go back in time and sleep with caveman hookers.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah,
This is probably the simplest premise of all the episodes, and yeah.
Yep, very straightforward.
Yeah, extremely.
I personally didn't really care for the whole caveman hookers gag at the end. It was kind of just there. It was like, we need a line to go out on. What's the best thing we can come up with? Apparently that was it.
Sure. I think it would have been a funnier bit had Mo come back and said his reaction to caveman hookers.
Or if we saw some kind of change.
I was waiting for a bunch of baby Moes to appear, or everybody start looking like Mo.
Exactly, because if he's going back that far, his DNA is going to get into something. So maybe that's why it didn't quite work for me, is because we had the earlier joke of Frink saying, I hope he doesn't do anything to destroy the space-time continuum, and then his hand is like a kitchen utensil.
Whoops. Yeah, this is funny. A few funny bits, but also like it was one of those things. I'm like, haven't I already seen this episode already?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that's what it felt like for me.
Like the premise of Lisa forcibly making something like that was already better done in the episode of the monkey fist, the monkey's paw. Yeah, it was just better executed then. I mean, there's a few funny jokes with the cowboys, but especially with the German oligarch. He's not a cowboy. I am a cowboy. Yippee, yippee, yee.
Okay, he's in.
But besides that, it was pretty, I don't know, honestly toss away episode.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to put it into that pile of forgettable episodes.
Yeah, I really don't have much to say about this one.
No. A lot of it didn't make sense, too. Obviously, it's The Simpsons and the Treehouse, but yeah, I felt like I watched this before, and as soon as we got to the guns, it's like, all right, I lost interest right away, because I didn't want to watch the same episode. Like, the feeling that I get. Yeah. Obviously, it's not the same episode, but it's fucking stupid.
And actually, I agree with what Brandon said, and actually, I would have loved to have seen Zach's idea with Mo. And then have like a bunch of Mo babies running around.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That would have been a fun little bit to do. Damn it, Zach, go back and go hop in a time machine and go back.
No.
So our final segment, the Island of Dr. Hibbert. David, tell us about this one.
This one actually was a fun one. I think out of the first two segments, this one is my favorite for sure. The Simpsons are pretty much heading towards an island. Homer says it was an island of a smiley face, but it was like a skull with burning eyes. I think this is a spoof of
Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, I don't think I ever watched it.
I don't think anybody ever watched it.
I've seen Island of Lost Souls, which was based on the Island of Dr. Moreau. That's the 1932 adaptation with Charles Lawton, and Bela Lugosi has a small part in that. That one's really good. Yeah, that one's really good. I do believe there's also a 1970s adaptation with Burt Lancaster, I think. I have not seen that one.
But obviously the famous one is...
There is the ill-fated 1996...
Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando one.
Yeah. There's a whole documentary about that called Lost Souls, which is very well worth the watch, about how the original director got fired and everything that went into the production and just how big of a mess it was. Really good documentary.
Huh.
So that's when you know film sites are fucked, when they make a separate documentary about how fucked the film was. Yeah, it's like that, and then in the Heart of Darkness.
Yeah, which Hearts of Darkness was filmed by Coppola's wife while they were there, and it wasn't really supposed to be a documentary. It's like she was just asked to film the behind the scenes, and of course, Apocalypse Now was released in '79. Hearts of Darkness didn't actually come out until '91, so it wasn't until years later when they decided to make an actual documentary from the footage that his wife shot. Whereas Lost Souls was made 20 years after the Island of Dr. Moreau is made, and they were actually seeking out interviews with the head of New Line at the time, Richard Stanley, the original director, a couple of the smaller cast members.
Statute of limitations had run out at that point.
Pretty much.
And Brando was already dead.
Yeah.
So, it made things a little easier. And Val Kilmer was pretty much out of the spotlight at that point. So,
yeah.
So it's definitely a easier run of it. Anyway, go ahead, David.
So, originally I thought I was going to watch a parody of, like, Fantasy Island until, like, later on in the episode. I was like, okay, I got it.
David, they already made a parody of Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
It was called the horror movie Fantasy Island.
Yeah, let's not get into that. You agree, Brandon?
Yeah.
How can we agree? Nobody ever saw it.
True.
I know someone that saw it.
Was it Justin?
No. It was someone I know in Pennsylvania.
Ah, okay.
Pennsylvania. Oh.
So
the one guy saw it.
The one. Thank you, one guy. Anyway, David, go ahead.
I guess somebody had to watch it.
I think they mentioned something about Dr. Hibbert disappearing or got mad and disappeared or whatever. And it turns out that he was the one running the island when they got there. Turns out that there was something, I guess, fishy about the island that Marge thought of or whatever. At some point, like during the night, she was like scanning the island and found his lab, was it?
Yeah.
What did it say?
House of Pain.
House of Pain. And did some kind of joke.
And Marge made the most mom joke you could possibly make. I guess this is where you get the bill.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Like, I was like, oh.
That was not funny.
That was like...
It was cute.
All I could think of was like Buzz Killington. It's like, oh, no.
Yeah, she says something about, how come there's no one ever around when I make these kind of jokes? Dr. Hibbert grabs her and is like, I'm around. All creepy.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it does apparently experiments in the island. I guess that's what the original spoof was. So it turns Marge into essentially a blue panther. She ends up going back to the room, and her and Homer have sex. And she's clawing his back or whatnot. And then after, it's like, Marge, I think, sees a bird. She leaps to the window, kills the bird. It's like, yeah, I knew I was sleeping with a beast during the sex. Which is kind of gross.
Something should have tipped me off during the sex.
Well, like, he had a feeling, but, like, he just kept going anyway.
David, sometimes...
Then he starts tracking the island and trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. I don't know if he's looking for Marge or what he's fucking doing. But he finds Ned in a barn, and he's a cow centaur, half cow, half human, and apparently Ned wants him to milk him, which is kind of disturbing.
That did creep me out.
It is, because he decided to do it, and Ned's like, yeah, I knew you were kind of soft or soft-hearted or whatever.
You can be gentle when you really want to be.
Yeah.
You're not helping.
Yeah. That was kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
And he starts, and Ned takes him to see the rest of the experiments while Homer's writing him and singing ridiculously. Yeah, and you see the townspeople as different animals. Some of them, I think Krusty was like a lion. Lisa was an eagle.
Chief Wiggum was a pig.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
What else? And the funny part was the mayor was like a panda or some shit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Dr. Hibbert shows up. Homer realizes that being filthy and mating constantly was a good idea, and he wanted to be an animal as well. Dr. Hibbert turned him into a walrus.
Nice.
So they're all hanging out and relaxing in paradise. And yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And King and Kodos come in. They see what the island looked like from outer space. And like, it looks like our number 4.
Yeah, that was just
That one.
forced again.
And then
Yeah.
there was another shoehorn. Like, that was a shoehorn.
That one felt like they wrote the entire episode, and then they
then-
realized they forgot to put in King and Kodos.
Yeah, it's like
Yep.
the second or third time they've done that. I hope they don't do this again.
The,
But I have a feeling they are. It's
Yeah,
a lot
like-
more episodes we got to go
Yeah.
through.
the
I really like when they integrate, Kane and Kodos into the story.
Yeah,
I don't think they're ever gonna beat that whole dating scenario portion.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
and then the Jerry
Well, that was
Springer-
fast. What are you trying to say?
That was that is the
Like,
hands down the best integration ever.
I do know that there are a few upcoming ones that actually have them in the story. And then I also like how they did it in the last episode with the gypsy wedding.
Yeah.
Because they were actually in the wedding. You even see them in the background, so you can tell that they were actually planning on having Kane and Kodos in there from the beginning, whereas this one literally felt like it literally felt tacked on.
Yeah.
Like they just took a completely separate animation of the island, put in King and Kodos.
And then
Yeah.
there's your canon Kodos. The again, I just think that sometimes it's greatly intertwined, and other times, man,
It's
just
just like they have to.
it's that shoehorn. It's
Yeah.
like a painful shoehorn too. And you go, oh, that's just not cool.
Yeah.
Like, you might as well not have them at that point. But I know that you have to have them. I'm sure that there's
Yeah.
it's written in some contract somewhere that they have to be in every treehouse. But
Yeah, this was a fun one.
Yeah.
Not
They
the
did have
strongest.
like they
not
did
the
have like an
funniest.
Italian like joke in there for Mark.
When Homer comes in and says he's turned you into human guinea pigs. We prefer Italian American pigs.
Yeah.
This is the third episode, Treehouse of Horror, in a row where we've had Italian jokes. We had the dolphin
Yeah.
segment. We had the townspeople in the last episode. And then
Essentially
we had this
Little
joke.
Italy.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee that it has to be because of Sopranos. Because I just know that the years of where this is at. Because this one was in, what, 2002?
Yeah, this would have been 02.
Yeah, so
I agree.
Sopranos was at the height of its power
Yep.
at this time. So it's probably it has a
Yeah.
huge contributing factor to why that there's so many Italian jokes in the last couple episodes. And I imagine that most of those seasons have even several different Soprano jokes within the seasons. Because you couldn't talk about TV without talking about the Sopranos during that time.
Yes, and
People
I'm-
bought HBO just for the fucking Sopranos. That was it. They bought it for one show and that was it.
They do that.
Yeah, they
every
do it
time.
now, but
Yeah.
like,
And,
they're the ones who started that.
Yeah, the season finale of season 13, which is the season of not this Treehouse of Horror, but the last one. The season finale of that season had a direct spoof of the actual opening title sequence of The Sopranos.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember
so it's just not shocking that that's what's going on. So yeah, I'm sure it's probably in an interview somewhere why there's so many Italian jokes, but who knows?
Yeah. So do we think we're going to get another Italian joke in the next episode?
Fourth time's the charm, I suppose.
I guess we'll see.
I know Zach would love it.
There's never a bad time to make an Italian joke, especially when Mark's around.
If Zach owns a car, that's probably going to be his fucking bumper sticker.
Probably.
The
But yeah, I'm Dr. Hibbert. It was fun. I like all the animal designs.
Yeah.
yeah,
That was
Really good animation. Stories, very straightforward. This is probably the most straightforward episode, trio of stories overall. Like, this is by far, I think, our shortest recording about these Treehouse of Horror episodes, because, like, there's such straightforward
yeah.
stories. There wasn't a whole lot to say about them. Like, I think the most we had to say about any of them was the clones one.
yeah,
Second segment was just
A fucking breeze because it was essentially a rip-off of another episode. Just change who's invading.
And it didn't have any good animation either, really. So you can't
yeah,
really.
it was kind of okay.
So, any last thoughts about Island of Dr. Hibbert before we move on to our wrap-up?
There is one funny joke that I did like a lot in that, which was when Lisa becomes the owl and tries to pick up
Oh, yeah.
Maggie. Then
We're just trying to play a game. What game? Kill Maggie.
eat Maggie.
Eat Maggie.
No.
Oh.
The yeah.
Parenting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's accurate.
Funniest moment. I think Mark and I have the same one. Does anybody know The Way Home?
Oh yeah. That's hands down the funniest. I laughed pretty fucking hard. And then also too the Peter Griffin.
Yeah.
Thing. The Peter Griffin gag was pretty funny.
That's probably my favorite gag. The funniest because of the retro Homer. I mean, that gets me every time they do that shit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I know this is not the first time they did the retro Homer.
No, not
Yeah.
at all.
Won't be the last either.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Creepiest, scariest, grossest, goriest moment. This episode didn't really go for that.
No, it didn't at all.
I guess by default, like Homer having sex with a lion
I'm gonna go
A lion?
with.
or a mountain lion.
you ever
Panther.
seen a lion
There
before,
was a
Mark?
Panther.
I'm gonna go with Ned Flanders telling Homer to milk him just because he sounded like
Yeah,
he was
it
in
was
so much
disturbing.
pain.
Yeah, that's
All right, I'm gonna go with Brandon's.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would switch.
Actually, I'm gonna switch too, man. That was pretty fucking disturbing.
Yeah, because he was like enjoying that. He was like really enjoying that.
Yeah, you
A little
have
too much.
gentle fingers. Like you're not helping.
It's disturbing.
Fuck at the milk thing.
They are
Yeah.
unanimous.
unanimous.
You know what? No, fuck that. The Beast.
You had to ruin it, didn't you?
You ruined it.
You son of a bitch. They anyway.
You bloated, so you ruined it.
Least favorite segment. For me, it's the second one.
yeah,
Second one for
Yeah,
sure.
second one.
It's
for
very
sure.
forgettable.
I already forgot about it. What was it about? I don't know.
Same shit as they
Yeah,
did
yeah,
before.
that's right, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it was about.
The
Favorite segment.
one.
One.
Yeah.
1, 3. For me.
3.
Really? Okay. Oh wow, we're split down the middle.
Split down the middle.
We got a little 50-50. The
Anything that has an Italian joke.
See that I actually believe him for that one. I don't believe him for a second that he did not pick 2 as his least favorite.
that
You don't have to believe it. You just got to accept it.
No, I don't.
No, I don't actually.
Yes, you do.
Brendan doesn't accept it as a third Jeepers Creepers, so you know there.
Because
So
there isn't.
the
Yes, there is, Brandon.
No, there isn't.
Yes, there is.
yes, there is.
No.
It does
We're
exist.
split on that.
So thank you for listening to this episode of the Midwest Horror Network's October 2020 special.
Does anybody have any final thoughts first?
Final thoughts?
Definitely not my favorite episode.
Yeah,
It
it
didn't
was.
feel Halloween-y, I guess. Very,
Fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah, other than the hilarity of the first segment, yeah, like I said earlier, this is just a very it was too straightforward. Not a whole lot of jokes landed. Segment 2 was forgettable, and segment 3, if it wasn't for all the animal redesigns, probably would have been forgettable as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool animation in the third one, but for the most part, that's the 2 things I remember. I remember how good the first one was, and then how good the animation was in the
Yeah.
third one, and then that's it.
I don't know, because again, that milking Ned Flanders thing is really fucking.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that's.
But you know,
But it doesn't carry the whole.
No,
7
I'm just
minutes.
saying that's pretty much what I remember because it was
Yeah.
just disturbing.
Well, as bad as these episodes were,
oh Jesus.
they still weren't as bad as The Raven.
Is that the whole reason you asked for final thoughts?
Yep.
Okay.
You know what?
Fair enough.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Midwest Horror Network's October 2020 special. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and check us out on all of our social media at Midwest Horror Network on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and
And of course, you can check out this one on Spotify and Anchor, just the audio version. And you can actually support us directly through Anchor through a monthly donation. Every bit of dollars that we get sent will go directly to all the contributions to the Midwest Horror Network. Any help you can provide would be great to keep this train moving along, and also support the rest of our content. Thank you so much for checking out this Halloween Horror Treehouse special. And we'll see you next time.
Happy October 13th.